Let's really dig into this because it is a perfect case study. This whole drama between China and Australia over jet fuel exposes the hollow theater of modern international politics in the most spectacular way. You've seen the headlines, right? Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong shuffles off to Beijing, sits down with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, and then emerges to announce that China has agreed to facilitate, calling it a significant first step toward resuming jet fuel supplies. Sounds legit, doesn't it? Friendly atmosphere, positive progress. But let me tell you, it is all garbage, carefully wrapped diplomatic spin. Let's be crystal clear about what this so-called diplomatic breakthrough actually means. Australia's aviation industry is on the verge of collapse. And China hasn't even handed over a single confirmed purchase order. Let's break down the ugly motivations and dirty realities at play here. Why are Australian airlines sweating bullets? It has got nothing to do with tight global energy markets. That is just diplomatic flattery. The real story is that when Iran kicked off and the Middle East went up in flames, China, acting to protect its own energy security, slammed the door on refined fuel exports starting in March. And one of those cuts hit Australia right in the jugular. And get this, China is Australia's single largest source of imported jet fuel, accounting for a massive 32.1% of total imports in 2025. This isn't a trade partner. This is an energy overlord. The moment supplies were cut, prices skyrocketed, and Australian carriers were forced to slash capacity. So Penny Wong didn't go on some friendly diplomatic visit. She went as a fuel beggar. She went to plead. And the outcome she brought back, it tells you everything. China committed to facilitating cooperation between state-owned oil companies and Australian firms. Let me translate that from diplomatic gibberish into plain English. My oil companies can have a chat with you, but when the fuel actually ships and how much you get, well, that depends on my mood. And here is where we get into the motive speculation part. Does the Australian government know this is just an empty promise? Of course they do, but they need this first step narrative more than anyone. Why? Because their political survival instinct is screaming at them that they have to give their suffocating aviation sector and angry voters some kin. Penny Wong's unspoken subtext is, look, it is not that I am incompetent, it is that China is too cunning. But I've at least cracked the door open a tiny bit, so you have to give me more time. Bullshit. That is not what happened. She didn't crack anything open. She just picked up a bone that China, out of pure strategic calculation, decided to toss her way. And that bone is called the significant first step, which ironically proves beyond any argument that China holds every single card in this game. As for what comes next, Reuters and ABC Australia have both confirmed in black and white that this is merely a first step and that a full resumption is a long way off. MarketWatch even cited analysis from Opus, the energy intelligence firm, pointing out that while China did issue 500 tons of refined fuel export quotas for May, that is just a projection. Actual implementation remains to be seen. You see the problem here. All the hope is pinned on forecasts and speculation, while China sits back perfectly comfortable, watching Australia squirm, playing its anxiety like a slow burn card game. So where does this screwed up, utterly one-sided mess come from? It comes from Australia's own foolish decision over the past few years to chain itself to the anti-China chariot, acting as someone else's little sidekick. And now that its own backyard is on fire, it is suddenly waking up to the fact that it doesn't even control its own emergency fuel supply. Someone else does. This isn't just a game of energy diplomacy. This is a naked humiliation of an entire groveling, submissive, political posture. Just picture the scene at some Australian airport with slashed flight capacity. Passengers are screaming bloody murder over canceled flights, and their foreign minister, meanwhile, is in a conference room in Beijing, spinning a preliminary contact, one that didn't even produce a concrete order into some earth-shattering diplomatic victory. That is the tragic comedy of international politics in our time. The performers are on stage dancing a choreographed routine called cooperation, while the audience down below has absolutely no idea where the fuel for their next flight is going to come from. Just watch. This is far from over. After this significant first step, they can drag things out with step 2, step 3, and so on until the other side finally completely understands who it is that decides whether your planes leave the ground or not. All right, that is all for today.